Have you ever noticed something unusual about twins? Sometimes they finish each other's sentences. Sometimes they react the same way at the same time. And in some cases, they seem to understand each other without even speaking. At first glance, it feels almost mysterious, like there's some kind of invisible connection between them. But psychology offers a deeper explanation. Because twins are not just siblings, they are two individuals who often grow up sharing the same environment, the same experiences, and sometimes even the same identity. And that combination creates something very unique. To understand the psychology of twins, we need to look at how identity forms. For most people, identity develops through contrast. You compare yourself to others. You notice differences. You build a sense of who you are based on what makes you unique. But for twins, especially identical twins, this process is different. Because from the very beginning, they are constantly compared, they look similar, they are treated similarly, and people often see them as a pair rather than as individuals. This can create a psychological effect known as shared identity. Instead of developing completely separate identities, twins may develop partially overlapping ones. They may adopt similar behaviors, similar interests, and sometimes even similar ways of thinking. But here's where it gets interesting. Even though twins share many similarities, they still develop differences. Because the human mind naturally seeks individuality. Over time, many twins unconsciously try to create distinction. One may become more outgoing, the other more reserved. One may choose different hobbies, different friend groups. This process is known as identity differentiation. It's the mind's way of saying, I am not just part of a pair, I am my own person. Another fascinating aspect of twin psychology is emotional synchronization. Twins often spend a significant amount of time together during early development. They observe each other constantly. They learn each other's expressions, reactions, and emotional patterns. This repeated exposure can create a strong sense of emotional awareness. In some cases, one twin may sense when the other is upset, even without clear communication. This doesn't mean they have supernatural abilities. It simply means their brains have become highly tuned to each other's emotional signals, almost like two systems that have learned to operate in sync. There's also something known as mirroring behavior. Humans naturally imitate people they are close to, but twins often do this at a much deeper level. They may develop similar body language, similar speech patterns, even similar habits without realizing it. Because they are constantly exposed to each other, their behaviors begin to align over time. But not everything about twin psychology is similarity. In fact, one of the most overlooked aspects is competition. Since twins are often compared from a young age, who is smarter? Who is more social? Who performs better? This can create a subtle form of internal pressure. Even if no one says it directly, the comparison exists, and that can lead to either competition or cooperation. Some twins become highly competitive, always trying to stand out, while others form extremely strong bonds and support each other deeply. Another important factor is environment versus genetics. Twins provide one of the most powerful ways to study this in psychology, because identical twins share nearly the same genetics. But when raised in different environments, they can develop surprisingly different personalities, which shows something important. Your personality is not shaped by just one factor. It's a combination of both biology and experience. But perhaps the most interesting part of twin psychology is how they experience connection. For many twins, their sibling is not just family. It's someone who has been present since the very beginning of their life. Someone who understands their experiences without needing explanation. This creates a bond that can feel incredibly strong, sometimes stronger than typical sibling relationships. And this is why twins often describe their connection as something difficult to explain. Not because it's magical, but because it's deeply psychological. built over years of shared experience, observation, and emotional understanding. So the next time you see twins who seem perfectly in sync, it's not just coincidence. It's not something mysterious. It's the result of shared identity, emotional learning, and continuous interaction. Because in psychology, the closer two minds grow together, the more similar their patterns can become. And sometimes, what looks like something extraordinary is simply the mind adapting in a very powerful way.